Welcome back. What's this about? Well, this is what I wear when I'm trying to see things close up. We're going to be working with textiles today. I do a lot of embroidery in my free time, but
I've only done a couple of pieces, maybe like one or two.
and we're going to make a big fluffy blanket, and it's nice. So we're going to be trying this out together. Let's get into it.
Okay, obviously when I got out the soft yarn, I thought we have to make some cute animals. The best way that I know how to do that is to turn this yarn into pom-poms. I don't have a pom-pom maker, but you can do it on your fingers. When I do it, I just wait until my fingers start turning blue. That means it's time to stop wrapping. Now we cut the umbilical cord with some very dull scissors, and we need a piece that we're going to wrap around to secure this right through the middle. We want to tie it once real tight.
Yeah, and then one more time just for safety.
Cut the folds along the line, and when they're all freed, you have a pom-pom.
These scissors are not working very well though.
I did see a trick about cutting aluminum foil, and that's supposed to sharpen them. Let's see how this works. Did it work? Did it work? Yeah! But I'm still gonna trade them for tiny ones to clean this pom-pom up. It's hard to tell on the video, but this dollar store yarn was kind of falling apart in my hand, so I'm just gonna have to call it
Good enough.
And if you've seen any of these videos, you know I like to make my creatures in groups of 3. So I'm going to use 3 different types of yarn to make 3 different types of characters. And to make a character, I'm going to need a bottom big puffball and a top little puffball for the head. We're going to try to keep these very simple.
Almost lost some fingers with this string.
The string was kind of impossible to see even where it was folded over. It all kind of looks the same.
It's like a big mess.
Now that we have all the bodies rounded and trimmed, we're going to fast forward to putting the top ball and the bottom ball together. I used hot glue. I just made a nice flat spot and then stuck them on. While this hot glue is drying, I'm going to pop out some felt, yet another type of fabric, and make some tiny little beaks for all 3 of these little poof balls. They're all going to be little chicks. The first little orange beak goes on the yellow fluffy chick. If I can find a spot to stick it in here. The gray chick gets a black beak. And our last little brown chick gets a peach-colored beak. Then, of course, some beady little eyes. Add those with hot glue and watch them jump immediately out of my hand. How'd that even happen? Get in there, you. since our boy is so dark, I added some pink cheeks, and his name is Ash. He kind of looks like an owl chick to me. Let's name the brown one Nugget, because he looks like a little chicken nugget. I think this one might be my favorite. I think he's the cutest one. This yellow one I named Cheap because it looks just like a little baby chicken. I like their super simple design. I think they turned out cute. What do you think? Our next project is couching a piece of yarn onto a sweater. The pencil didn't work for writing my words, so I'm going to use some chalk.
Switch it up!
Now that our word is visible, we need our yarn and our embroidery thread. I also grabbed scissors, a needle threader, and a needle. So this thing is a needle threader. It's one of those things you'll get in a sewing kit. Sometimes it looks like a little silver dime that has wire sticking out of it. I wish I had known before that this helps you get your thread through. And if it's gonna be thick like this one, then you want to hold it by the wire so it doesn't break your threader. So this is an embroidery technique called couching, which I've never actually tried because I haven't had anything that needed this. All you're doing is sewing this yarn onto your fabric with your embroidery thread by looping it over and then moving up one and doing it again. So I've now moved on to the P. I started with the light purple, and then a lighter purple, and then a light pink, and a darker salmon pink, and now we are finishing up this salmon pink, and at the end is red. If I do this again, I would use a stronger marker because the chalk did rub off while I was doing this, and it was really hard to figure out where I was supposed to be
Putting this thread.
And here is our finished product, a little crop top sweater that says,
Nope.
I'm gonna use glue to seal these ends so they don't fray, but now I don't have to answer, I can just point to my sweater. Haha, it's the yarn from the thumbnail! I bet you thought it was just to grab your attention. It's very attention grabbing, isn't it? It's very soft is what it is. So the last type of fabric art that we're gonna try is finger knitting. You wrap this and pull this through, kind of like a friendship bracelet.
Or like a noose, depending on who you're making it for.
And then you just keep pulling it through, making lots and lots of loops. I left them probably too loose because I know I have to come back in here and go through these loops again. Oh yeah, it's important to count how many because that's how you keep track of whether you've dropped a loop or a stitch. So they recommend 15, but I made 30 and it goes right out of the frame. So now that we've finished our 30 loops, we're gonna have to go back the other way. So we pull the yarn through that last loop and then take that extra yarn and pull it through each one of these loops. And since these colors are all different, I was like, well, I hope this is the loops.
I hope this is right.
I'm sure someone watching this is like,
Like, oh my god, that's not how you do that at all.
but yeah, tell me in the comments if it's not, because I've never done this before. I mean, it ended up looking kind of right. I did have to remind myself for next time to read through all the instructions or watch the entire video before I start. because ending it was a
Little choppy.
Now that I've made it back to the beginning, I've got all my loops. I'm going to do the same thing back the other way. So I take this excess yarn and I pull it through all these loops and make more loops. And I'm just going to keep doing that back and forth. It was actually kind of fun and a little bit hypnotic. I like using the really big, thick wool like this. I tried to do this with smaller wool to make one for my daughter because she's trying to steal this blanket, and it was a lot harder than this. This was kind of satisfying. I think this is still technically yarn. Wool yarn?
I don't know.
Now I've used up that whole big ball of yarn. You can see it's mostly right? I mean, I didn't know how to pick up the slack or tighten it. Maybe you'll tell me how in the comments. Maybe you don't know either. Don't follow this tutorial. But this was actually super fast with the thick yarn like this. Now I'm trying to finish it. I flipped it. Unfortunately, the cat got into it and pulled some of these loops right out, but you're supposed to pull the loop to your right through the loop to your left and keep doing that same thing. Just like that, just like that. But now my loop is missing because the cat pulled it out. I don't know where it is, but I just did it the wrong way either way. Maybe we put this blanket down as a fail. I guess I could have taken it apart, done it all over again, but definitely not going to video that. So here's my finished blanket. It's so nice and soft. Let's recap. What did we do this week? We made a fluffy blanket. It's nice and soft. The cat loves it, and I kind of finished it. We made that Nope sweater, and we made these cute little chickies. I don't remember their names. This one was Nugget. Looks like he has a little hot glue scar above his eye. Don't look at that. This one was Ash. I remember that. And this one was Cheap. It's Cheap. All right, they're cute. Now it's time for your treat. See you next week.